Hello, everyone. Welcome tonight to the live Q&As. And okay, who do we have here? Hello, Silver Spirit. Just saying hello to everyone before I sort of get started. And tonight I'm going to do a Q&A for the geopolitical and global questions that you have put up on the community page. Hopefully there are about 20 questions, so we'll see how we go. They're for Canada and Australia. And anything that I don't go through tonight, I might come back and do another live in a couple of days. So welcome, everyone. I feel like I've got a bit of fluff on my lip. Welcome, everyone, and let's get started. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll go through the questions, I'll see how I go with time, and then at the end I'll open it up and I can answer some more questions from the chat window. But what I do is I open up a Word document with the questions, and as I read through them, I can't actually see the chat window. So, okay, we've got 10 people here and more may come in. So welcome, everyone, and I'll get started. I feel like I'm repeating myself. Okay. I might start with Canada, and then I'll move over to Australia. And the first question I have here for Canada, okay, is from DavidNeyens. How much longer will Canadians struggle under Mark's carnage? I find it really amusing with some of the commentary sometimes. Okay. With that, I've actually predicted before that even if Mark Carney is to actually be ousted now, the party's still in power until the next election. So I see your next federal election will be where Carney and his government will be ousted. And I believe that is coming up, I think, around 2028. And I might just open up, because there's a lot, the chat window is really going. So I might just open this up all the way so I don't get distracted. And I'm going to try to stay tuned in. And I'll try my best to go through all the questions. And now I've got my Word document open. I can't actually see in the background what's happening. So I might just stay focused there. Okay, the next question is from Ellie. Will Carney fall by the end of 2026? And will his ridiculous C bills he put into place be reversed? Okay. So I don't feel that Carney is going anywhere by the end of 2026. But I feel there may be, I've said this before, I feel there may be something where he may be taken away. I'm getting illness again with him. Something may arise with him regarding some perhaps his health. In relation to these C bills, what I'm actually feeling with these bills is they're kind of being done behind closed doors in secrecy. And I feel like they're not being done correctly. I feel like some of them can be contested. And some of them will be reversed, but some of them will definitely go through. I'm not sure what the C bills are and how many are being put forward, but I feel they're doing things behind closed doors, and it could be during a period where there aren't people in Parliament or something like that, where they're actually passing these bills. But I feel like it's a little messy. I feel like it's actually being rushed, and some of them may look okay on paper, but I just feel there's something lacking there, and some of them will be contested, and I feel like there may be some legal challenges on some of them. I actually feel there's going to be multiple legal challenges happening with some of these bills, and some of them will actually be stopped. Not necessarily reversed, they may have to be revised. A couple of them will be stopped, and I feel like some of them will actually go through. But in terms of so in terms of when a new party comes in government, I feel that whatever's been put through, there's going to be challenges up until that point anyway, and some of these bills will actually be reversed or will be stopped in its tracks. Okay, the next question is from Peggy from Montreal. Hi, Laura. Will people who voted for Liberals begin to wake up and see the truth about Carney and his Liberals? It's discouraging how blind many are. Actually, a lot of people are waking up, and it's because they're being affected by these policies, and I feel like there's a lot of economic issues arising for a lot of the Canadians and Australians, to be honest. People are really starting to feel it, and it's because they're starting to actually feel it, they're starting to challenge. And more things are hitting the mainstream. And I think what's actually happening in the US at the moment with the Democratic Socialist Party that's stepping forward with some of their emboldened policies and what they're speaking, I think is actually bringing a lot of attention, and people are seeing and connecting the dots and seeing a lot of similarities. So they are actually waking up, Peggy, and I'm getting that they're going to be waking up faster than we give them credit, because now I feel like there may be some places in Canada that some of them are a little sleepy still, like in most places. And I think that's just people who tend to follow a particular way of government because it's comfortable for them in what they're provided, and perhaps scared to challenge, and really do have a lot of blind faith. But there's a lot of people actually waking up and seeing what's happening in America, seeing what's happening across the globe, and they're not happy, and they are waking up, and they will be actually stirring more, and it will be happening faster is what I'm getting. Okay, the next question. So these next two questions, one's from Trends 6547, and the next one's from Matt, and they're both around Doug Ford. The first question is, hi Laura, if Carney steps down, do you see anyone in his cabinet stepping down as well? I just immediately got yes. I just got that two people are actually going to step down. Two people are going to be challenged. And I don't know whether I see a male and a female being challenged, but I think reading the rest of the question, so his Liberal government can lose the majority. So do I see for, is it Doug Ford? And also Olivia Chow will be re-elected. Now, I've been feeling that Doug Ford is actually in trouble, but I actually feel I'm getting that Olivia Chow is actually in more trouble than Doug Ford, to be honest. And I'm getting that she's got some severe backlash happening. Something about infrastructure, something about some kind of like a pipeline or something. I'm getting that she's potentially going to be ousted. I'm not quite sure of her relationship, but I feel like she's actually in trouble, and I feel like she may be stepping down or forced to step down. I don't see her around much longer. Yeah. And the woman that I'm seeing in my mind's eye is a youngish woman with dark hair. So I don't know if this is the same woman. And I feel like she's going to be more unpopular if she's not already more unpopular than Doug Ford, because I feel like Doug Ford is in trouble as well, to be honest. And Matt's gone on to ask, do I see Doug Ford being re-elected? Right. Re-elected as MP, or is he aiming to run for a federal seat? I just got that he's aiming to run for a federal seat, Matt. I feel like the province where he governs is fairly progressive culturally, but I feel economically there are issues there, and that's going to actually affect his standing. And I feel like he's going to be sidestepping into running for a higher level of government, perhaps federally, because I don't see him being ousted in that way. I see him almost like stepping. So maybe they're the two people that I see stepping aside, because I saw a male and female. So it could be these two that I'm seeing. And I don't know if they're going to be running a dual campaign or a campaign simultaneously or something. Something's happening. So unless they're starting to already campaign, I'm seeing something, but I'm seeing that she's actually going to have to step aside. I'm seeing that she's going to have to step down, and he's going to sort of step forward for something. And I believe it could be more federal, a federal seat. Okay. So the next question's from Karen Lef. I can't pronounce your surname. Hi, Laura. This is Karen from Canada. I'm watching Carney bring in new people into the government positions from the EU, USA. These people are globalist. These people are not voted in, appointed in any government by Carney's Canada, being taken over by the appointed globalists. Are Canadians losing their rights with this appointed government, globalists? And have we lost our voting rights? Will Carney be our only Prime Minister from this point on? And is communism here? And you've gone on to ask another question. Okay, let me start with your first question, Karen. Communism's not there to stay, but they're working really hard at getting it rolling out, pushing it. They're really doing everything in their power to push it through. You haven't lost your voting rights. In fact, more people are going to be standing up and vocalizing and demanding, and it's going to actually make it a little shaky. And the administration and the globalists that are trying to push this communism thing globally, they're being quite emboldened about it, but I feel like the Carney administration is actually still being sneaky about it. I feel in America they're being quite emboldened, and they're putting it out there and hoping that just people will buy their message. But I feel in Canada and in Australia, they're being more underhanded about it, and they're trying to push through policies in the back door and allow for things to happen. So as a distraction or some kind of fear mongering to actually be able to push through some things. So these globalist elites are starting to come in and work together. Basically, almost like his unofficial silent advisors. And they're really working very hard at pushing out and getting things happening. But the main objective is to actually, they're coming together to battle Trump, is what they're doing in the Trump administration. Trump administration's moving at such a fast speed that they're coming together to actually do everything they possibly can to battle Trump. Moving into your next question. So Carney is setting up a $134 billion bank fund, development of weapons production. This is called the Defense Security Resilience Bank for the middle powers against the US under Trump. There are 9 founding members: Latvia, Baltic Front, like Romania, Turkey on the Black Sea, Greece, Albania, Belgium, Luxembourg. $900 million given to Zelensky for Ukraine. Is this state-backed financing to build strategic industry? So my question is Mark Carney going to succeed in this plan and make weapons to fight the US? Okay. He's not making weapons to actually get into a physical fight with the US. What they're trying to do is actually get into like a chess match with the US. And so if you recall, some months ago, I created some slides, like slide presentation. And I believe, what did I call it? I wrote it up here. The Rise of the New World Order. And I talked about the Middle Powers Coalition. And so the Middle Powers Coalition was pretty much driven by Canada and Australia, and they were trying to court place the main countries like Japan and that, but that wasn't working. So I feel what's happening here under the guise of creating this banking fund is to create this coalition so they can counter Trump, and so they don't have to rely so much on Trump, but it's really to form this alliance. They're trying to build this middle power alliance of these. They're not really superpower countries, but they're countries that are doing okay economically and militarily. So if they can come together, they can almost form a new type of coalition and a new union that can really counter Trump and what he's doing. And so this is why the Trump administration is working very quickly and swiftly at forming these alliances with expanding in the Middle East and some African nations and so forth. But I feel that they're not going to be successful. So they're actually, some of them are the globalists that are coming together, but they're not going to be successful at wanting to achieve what they're trying to achieve here, is what I'm feeling. Okay. Yeah, I got that he's going to lose big time. I wrote those words just underneath. Carney is going to lose big time in terms of this, trying to push this through. I feel Trump is going to out-Trump them, if that makes sense. Okay, the next question's from Jojo. Hi, Laura. I have a different type of request. I remember when you were going to have a meditation quite a while ago. I'm from Alberta, and I don't feel Canada is going to have a real change soon enough. I realize this might be a separate video. Okay. So I suppose if you're wanting to do something collectively like a meditation, Jojo, I think what I would like is for, how many people have we got here now? Oh, wow, we've got 50 people here. Hello, everyone. I've been hiding behind my Word document and my questions, so welcome to those who have joined. Just in response to Jojo's question about doing a meditation, perhaps I'll put it out on a poll in the community and ask who's wanting it, and then I'll see if I can create something and do something in that regard. But it would be nice collectively if we come together with some, positive thoughts and prayer. Okay. Moving on. To AnnWesthaver. Good evening, Laura from Nova Scotia. Things are starting to heat up here in our beautiful country. My question is, what is going to happen with the relationship between Canada and the US, and what is Trump and Carney's relationship? Is Carney working with the Democrats like Soros, Clinton's, Obama behind the people's backs? And what is Carney's plans for Canada? Yes, Anne. Basically, the World Economic Forum, Soros, Clinton's, Obama, all of those pretty much are working together and scheming together, should I say, in how to oust Trump, pretty much. And because Trump and his administration has really upset the apple cart in how they're rolling this out. And they're trying new strategic ways. And what they're going to need is something That's why they need these wars to keep going. They need the wars to keep going so they can actually create a distraction. They need the wars to keep going so they can actually deplete munitions, deplete finance, to increase oil prices, to make people cranky with the Trump administration, to turn people against. But what's actually happening is, because you've got the socialists that are coming forward and being quite emboldened and speaking out quite brazenly on what their agenda is, more people are going to be actually supporting what Trump is doing, and it's going to backfire. But I do see a very unsettling period from now. It's going to start to heat up even worse over 2027, leading up to the federal elections for 2028. And I really do see up until 2029, some major events happening, even up to 2032 in some places. I feel the next 5 to 7 years perhaps could be quite unstable in some places. In some places, maybe a bit sooner, we'll start to settle. Yeah. Okay. Next question's from Mel Brown. Hi, Laura. I love your videos. Thank you. I tell it how it is and I don't sugarcoat it. Okay. Can I ask about the auto industry, specifically Stellantis? And can you tell us if Windsor Assembly Plant and Brampton Assembly Plant will both be okay and survive? We're heading into contract talks very soon, and it's scary times in this market for workers. I work with 4,000 plus other people at the Windsor Assembly Plant, and we are all worried about Stellantis commitments to keeping its Canadian footprint in manufacturing in this side of the border. Okay, if you remember, I've actually talked about the CUSMA agreement, the CUSMA being Canada, United States and Mexico agreement, and that's the free trade agreement that you guys have. So that was, a 16-year agreement. It came up to 6 years to negotiate, and it has 10 years remaining. And Trump wasn't happy with the terms. Carney and Mexico are playing hardball, and Trump was refusing to sign it to continue. And so this has caused a problem, because now with his tariffs, and he's increased the tariffs, I predicted that it will actually force some automotive industries to actually move over into the US to save on the tariff, the taxes that they'll be charged for assembling outside. Now, I see that that's actually happening, and to sort of force Carney's hand. But in saying that, those two companies that you're talking about, my gut feeling, now you're saying that one's with 4,000 plus people. Now, I feel that they're like a sister company to something in the US, and I actually feel that they're going to keep going. And I feel like there's going to be some funding that's going to come through for the company, actually. What's that company called? The one with 4,000 employees? I can't remember which one's which. Windsor, is it? The Windsor plant. So the Windsor plant, which has the 4,000 employees, I feel the Windsor plant is actually going to get some kind of boost in some type of funding. And I feel the other one is, I don't know, I don't see it completely shutting. I see it sort of sitting there idle, and I don't know why. I don't know. I don't see it moving, but I don't see it diminishing. I see it sitting there idly. There may be something around infrastructure that they're cautious not to break down, maybe to keep it potentially moving forward at a later date, but I see it being more idle sitting there. And I see the one with the 4,000 people. I actually see them moving, like still working, and I just see a burst of funding coming into it, and I see some kind of association to the US with that company. So if that makes sense to you, that's what I'm feeling about that. Okay. Next question is from DavidNeyens. I think he asked another question before. Were the massive wildfires in Canada due to government-sponsored arson? Okay, this is a really interesting question, David, and I'm going to say yes and no, but I feel like it's actually happening in a different way. I feel like there's a culmination of things happening that we need to sort of be mindful of. I feel it has something to do with, if we have a look at the reporting of what's been reported, just going to open this up so I don't get distracted with the moving chat window. Okay. I'm seeing a bunch of things happening and I'm trying to piece it together. And so what I'm seeing is there were talks about this year's going to be some kind of super El Nino type of event or season where there's going to be rising of temperatures, there's going to be more wildfires. Then I'm getting something around Bill Gates. I'd mentioned about Bill Gates wanting to put mirrors up into the satellite as like lower orbit satellites to reflect some kind of light. But I've recently learned that there's another way of doing it, the cloud seeding, where they kind of burst some kind of salt water and they cause some kind of mirror effect in the air, and it can kind of deflect some of the light and cause it to cool. And that's funded. That's being funded by Bill Gates. So I feel there's something in connection there with all of that that's happening. And I'm also getting a link with Bobby Kennedy, where Robert Kennedy Jr., who's part of the Trump administration, is actually, I don't know, I think they're investigating the chemtrails, and I don't know if there are going to be some fines happening or they're going to make it illegal or something that's going to happen there. But they're not going to have much control over what's happening in the Commonwealth countries. And so they may be able to start to implement something within the US, but I feel what's happening in the Commonwealth countries under the Westminster system, where they're able to sort of roll out these policies, you know, through Australia and Canada and New Zealand and that, I feel like this is where the global agenda is really going to sort of start to take traction, and this is what we're starting to see. So to answer your question, if I can kind of put it together, I don't believe somebody went there directly and lit a match. I think that they created an environment and circumstances for this to happen. And I feel that potentially the circumstances were a deliberate circumstances with cloud seeding, with the and to cause some kind of weather events that could cause either some sparks or whatever, or I don't know exactly. So I feel there's a yes and no to your question. I can't tell you exactly, but that's the feeling that I'm kind of getting in connection with. It's all kind of lined up. But ultimately the objective to me is to create some new type of COVID event, but not necessarily COVID with the virus. Perhaps it's under the El Nino. And if we relate it to what's happening recently, Australia received the Oz alerts, these emergency broadcasts. People in the UK are being asked to sort of start stockpiling some things. So I feel they're actually telling us, let's just see if it comes under some kind of global event, which may justify them having to push forward their climate agenda, and it's most likely going to be rolled out more in the Commonwealth countries, and this is who's going to actually suffer and experience it more. In saying that, there are going to be some shifts in some of these Commonwealth countries when the new governments come in place. But I feel like we kind of need to start to I've mentioned it before that we should start to sort of just prep ourselves just for, inconsistent infrastructure problems or some kind of events. I don't think there's going to be anything drastic, but I feel there'll be outbursts of things that will instill enough fear to make us compliant and give them justification to roll things out. That's the feeling that I'm getting. Yeah, that's the feeling that I'm getting. But ultimately, I feel they're going to be unsuccessful to ultimately roll out their ultimate agenda. They're just they know that they are losing grip, so they're going to be more emboldened to work at it faster and more aggressively and harder. And that's what I feel we're going to be experiencing, particularly leading up to 2028. So I think they're all the questions from Canada. Let's see how we're going. Oh, wow, 75 people. Hello, everyone. I was hiding behind my Word document. A lot of questions happening here. I'll answer some of these questions towards the end, and I might just keep going and go with Australia because I've gone through these a bit faster than I expected. Okay. Can't seem to open up my Word document. Okay, moving on to Australia. Just have my fennel tea. I always get a little nervous with these live events. Okay, starting with the questions now from Australia. I think they're probably the same number of questions. This is from Lauren Fernando. Hi, Laura. Will any of the underhanded, corrupt things our current Australian government have done start to get exposed soon for more people to start waking up? It's interesting. A lot of, no matter where we're from, we're all having similar questions, similar fears. And just to sort of reassure everyone, people are waking up. People are waking up. People are noticing. There are people who don't believe and they won't believe. No matter what you say, they have their strong views. But the majority of people are waking up, and they're waking up because communism's rearing its head more in a way that's actually making people a little bit uncomfortable, and people are now starting to put things together. And that's why you're seeing here in Australia, One Nation's really building traction, and people will be supporting One Nation where before they may have thought, not even considered it, or thought, Pauline Hanson may have been full of bull. Her message now is resonating, and she's building traction in many areas and many different communities throughout the country, and she'll continue to do that. Next question from Viv. Hi, Laura. Do I see Australia leaving the Commonwealth and becoming a republic one day? I kind of just got yes or no, yes and no. So if the Labor government tried to push for a referendum before 2032, it's going to fail for a republic. Yeah, I don't know. I see some changes happening after 2032. But I feel the changes are more in terms of major political parties. There's going to be sort of like a restructuring of some political parties in the way, yeah. I think that's going to sort of be more more the changes that we're going to see at this point. I don't see us becoming a republic anytime soon. And there is an increasing threat from China, but there's also, there is an increasing threat from China. There's and how some of the migrants that are coming in to our countries, there's more than what is being reported. And I think, that may cause a few issues as well. Well, it is already beginning to cause issues. Okay, Blue Onion. This is a bit of a loaded question about data centers. Are data centers here to stay, or will they be scrapped? No, they won't be scrapped. How does that pan out for Australia? Greatly concerned that these data centers are being placed on ley lines. Being placed on ley lines, and perhaps, the amount of power density that's happening and causing perhaps more power density and resonance happening in certain areas, but also too encroaching on more natural lands and utilising a lot of the fresh water supply because they're needing a hell of a lot of water. And but what I predicted, if you watch the part 2, because this is part 3, Geopolitical and Global Predictions part 3. I did part 1 and part 2 as a pre-recorded. And I can't remember if it was part 1 or part 2 where I talked about the data centers, and I feel it's unsustainable at the rate that they're needing to feed these data centers with information, expand their warehouses, expand their storage capacities, expand their use of waters, is going to be very unsustainable. And it's already starting to have backlash. And I feel like there are some brilliant minds that are actually working at creating some kind of quantum leaps in how AI is going to be done. But AI is here to stay. It's going to be advanced in such a way. I see it being advanced in such a way, we're talking about quantum physics and, almost like dual reality is how I'm seeing it in my mind's eye right now. Yeah. Next question from Rosana from Kurrajong. Hello, beautiful Laura. Hello, beautiful Rosana. For entertainment purposes only. Okay, that's what I sort of start with. Wanted to ask my thoughts on the digital world by 2030, and are there enough of us waking up that this won't happen? The digital world's not going away. And I think what we need to sort of I think we're being bombarded with a whole lot of crap that's coming out. Like this Tai Chi, in 28 days, your whole body changes in 28 days. If you buy that, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for vulnerable people to actually buy into that. But I'll tell you the one that particularly concerns me. It's the one where they talk about doing these courses, 9 minutes a day, where you kind of improve your language skills and how you communicate, your communication skills. And don't ask people, how are you? And don't ask these personable questions, everyday personable questions. It's really becoming very transactional. They're the things that we need to actually be careful of how much we feed into that type of narrative. To the breakdown of social structure, social cohesion, connectedness, religion, faith is what really communism's all about, and to sort of be controlled almost like robots and mechanical beings under a communist type of rule, authoritarian rule. This is really what we have to be mindful of when we're actually seeing all of this. And really, we have the power within us to not engage with it, to skip past it, to not buy it, to not listen to it, and to sort of fill our mind and our hearts with community, because we need community. We need to come together. We need humanity to come together. And really, faith and humanity is actually what's going to win. They want us to be fearful. They want to separate us. They want to break down the nuclear family, the dynamic of social structure, and make it all very clinical and sterile almost, and mechanical. And so even though the advancement of technology is going to be a good thing, it can be so much so that it almost detaches us from actual reality. And this is where we need to sort of start to be discerning. And we have to be the leaders and lead by example of how we kind of use it in our world, and how we influence the people in our world, our children, and, you know, our families as well. So next question. Goldilocks. Have the controllers put something in the water in remote northern Australia to cause heart problems? I don't feel it's in the water. I don't feel anything's in the water. Although there's lots of chemical in the water. I feel there's sort of, I'd read somewhere that I think Bill Gates were wanting to put vaccines in bananas and use Australia as a testing ground for it, for people who are actually not wanting to sort of take the influx of vaccines, not necessarily anti-vaccine, but more discerning and informed, and making informed choices as to what vaccines they take. I think he's wanting to force some vaccines onto people by putting them into bananas. And so I think it was those types of things where that they may be doing. So are they putting something in the water? My instinct, my feeling is no, but I feel it's the heart racing. I feel it's more to do with the actual power grid and infrastructure. And yeah, that will actually, our sedentary lifestyle and being more indoors and not connecting to the circadian rhythms of the planet, that could be causing that. And it may be happening in more areas. So remote northern Australia, that's interesting. I might, I'm not sure. Goldilocks? I haven't heard about that. My first feeling is no, but that's what I'm feeling right at this moment. Okay, Rachel Collins. Hi, Laura. Love your work. Thank you. Do I see toxic gas being released after a quake or eruption that will affect waterways? Again, another question with water, with crops and animals, humans, and will it affect us here in Australia? I do see, I'm kind of getting visions of gases coming from volcanic eruptions and so forth. And I did see some earthquakes where there were some gas explosions because of ruptures that are happening because of the quake, but I didn't see it happening here in Australia. But in saying that, the feeling that I'm getting right now, Rachel, is something's coming to me, and I feel like there's going to be some kind of rupture in some kind of pipeline here. And I'm not quite sure what that is. And it could be some more sabotage rather than natural event. And it could be maybe a waterway. So there may, I'm not sure if this is for Australia, but that's the sense that I'm getting. So if there's some sabotage, it could be potentially sabotage into our waterway or in some waterway that I'm seeing, some pipeline that I'm seeing. Okay. I could be wrong as well. Rivers run. With the coming weather, climate, and sea level changes, will people need to live in elevated areas? And which Australian states would be best to live in? I don't see anything drastic happening that if they're being predicted out there, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that there's going to be rising waters that happen very quickly. I feel like things like that happen over the millennia, over time, with continental drift and the erosion of some land masses. Some lower lying areas may sort of more be submerged, but I don't see a need to sort of have to relocate from the coastlines more inland. There may just be more where I'm seeing places being affected that way is more where high density living has been built up in more flood prone zones is where I see an actual issue where people may have to start relocating. So because they're trying to sort of create a lot of high density living, get people from out and bring them all into, this is where they get the idea of the 15-minute cities, create more high density living, bring people more in. And the 15-minute city means that you don't have to go out further than 15 minutes and you've got everything you need. But in order to do that, they're building infrastructure in perhaps some places where they may potentially have problems with, and they may be more flood zones. That's where I see potentially issues happening. I don't see it around the coastlines where it's going to actually affect us as a whole, as a population, anything happening here in Australia that way. I feel places like low-lying places like the Netherlands and that will be more inclined for that to happen. Okay, moving over to Victoria state elections and outback true crime. Okay, this is from Mosh Mosh. I know you have answered this a few times, but mentioned you needed to look further into it, which I probably haven't done. Okay, could you please do a deeper reading on Victoria and the upcoming state election in November? Will One Nation win? Thank you for answering all our questions. Okay. So what I'm feeling right now, Mosh Mosh, is Labor's going to be out. I feel like I feel what's happening here is they're going to be teaming up with the Liberals because there's a potential for the Liberal to take a seat. I just feel One Nation, even though it's building traction, I don't feel like they're quite there yet. I did feel at one point that One Nation would actually potentially win. But I'm seeing some things changing, and it could be because perhaps Labor and Liberal may try to form some type of coalition to overtake and get that win. Because I feel if it was like in a race, Labor would be third, and so they would sort of join their preferences, their votes with the Liberals for the Liberals to take it. But I don't necessarily feel that the Liberals would actually do very good by Victorians. They will to a point, and it definitely needs a big, big change like One Nation. I don't feel it's going to be this cycle, to be honest. That's just the feeling that I'm getting. Excuse me. Okay, Judy Morris. Okay, I know that this isn't geopolitical, but do I have any insights into the Peter Falconio murder? And it will be great to get an intuitive answer as to whether Bradley Murdoch was the killer and where is Peter's body located. Okay, Judy, I actually did for our members, because for the YouTube Oracle members, I actually did some automatic writing channeling on Peter Falconio. And what came through for me there was very much Bradley Murdoch. And I saw Bradley Murdoch with two faces, two personalities, and quite clearly saw two personalities. And I saw some dialogue happening there. And I did get some points in terms of location. And perhaps let me just think about it, because I actually created that for the members, but I haven't actually done a follow-up video on that. I've actually just got the raw channeling, but I haven't done a follow-up video because I wanted to do sort of an overview on it. Okay, next question from Orion Isme, and this is the last question. Hi, Laura. Okay. What's this? This is I've pulled in another question from, I may have missed it. Okay. Does London, England actually control Carney? Is this why he wants to join up with the EU? Now that Carney has hired an American Democrat to help him against Trump, will Trump overthrow the EU and Carney? So does England actually control Carney? Carney's really part of that elite group there. And I feel he is very much a driver with a lot of the things that are the globalist agenda. I feel that he is very much not necessarily controlled by, but actually part of that elite group rolling out that agenda. And that's why under his middle powers coalition that he's trying to form, he's trying to actually get together EU nations to form, perhaps under this banking funding system that I mentioned, that the question was earlier, with this $128 billion that he's putting towards in this new banking system. I feel it's all to do with that. And will Trump has already started to deconstruct the imperial agenda, the Commonwealth, the coalition between the UK and France and the World Economic Forum. Germany's changing. This is also with Germany's I feel like Germany is not really part of it as much anymore. Brussels, like Belgium, definitely. All the countries that are really struggling right now are part of this agenda. The Netherlands, and the people who are standing up against it, I'm sensing in terms of with the European Union, I do see the European Union sort of collapsing and people leaving. And I also see people leaving, the countries leaving the Commonwealth, and Trump expanding a type of, forming a new type of Commonwealth, but it's all controlled by Washington. And that's why he's doing and he's expanding in areas that were probably seen as taboo. And he's moving into Africa and into the Middle East and into parts of Asia where they really weren't considered forming some kind of alliance. And this is how he's actually beginning to get ahead of what their agenda is. And they are weakening, and this is why they're becoming more desperate, and they're going to be some more desperate measures of things that will happen. And they're going to be felt more with the Commonwealth countries, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK. And this is where a lot of questions are coming from. So that's the last of the question in the pre-written questions. We've got 87 people. Hello, everyone. I can see myself and I can see your questions. Okay. And there are a lot of questions. Let's just have a look here. I might just change my glasses. Okay, Andy. Thank you, Andy, for your super chat. I still don't know what they're called. And your question. Back in 2016, I predicted that Trump would be the best thing for Canada. It will be painful, I said to Margaret, but in the end, Canada will be better off. Do you feel I'm at least close to my prediction, with my prediction? In terms of Canada becoming part of the US, let me read your question again, Andy. Be the best thing for Canada, and it will be painful, I said to Margaret, but in the end, Canada, yes. So I feel what Trump is doing at the moment, he's trying to force the hand of how things are done. That's why, he's able to control things through the economy and the way he negotiates. So really, America is very lucky at the moment because the White House is being run by a bunch of people who are business-minded people who understand business, who understand how to grow companies, how to create wealth, and a president who's actually been in office before, had so much happen to him and understands exactly what is happening globally. And so some of the things that he's forcing other countries to abide by, like forcing the tariffs, and he's forcing the hand, and yes, it will be painful. So your prediction is accurate, Andy, and you will see that what he's doing will come to fruition. It's going to take some time because this agenda hasn't just happened in the last 1 or 2 years. This agenda's been going on for the last, I'd say, since the 60s, if not even planned earlier than that. And they have been working away at this agenda. And all that's happened is Trump's come along and he's been very transparent, and he's ousted a lot of things that they've had to sort of speed things up, and he's exposed things, and other people are exposing things, and now they're so brazen, they're out in the open with it. So yeah, I do believe that your prediction is very close to happening. You just don't give up faith. Keep the faith. What we all have to do is collectively keep the faith. We are quite powerful together. And I know Vice President Vance said something recently as well about the way we can all beat this thing is by having faith. The more aware we are, and a lot of people are waking up, a lot of people are becoming aware, and they're becoming aware because they're being affected by things, and they can't blame Trump forever. And Trump's going to be on his way out, and they're looking for other things to blame, and there are always something new that's coming up. But now you've got a clear, in-your-face battle with, they're calling themselves the Democratic Socialists because they're kind of sugarcoating it, and because people can relate to the idea of a democracy, and then they want to normalize the idea of socialism. But there are people who have come and who have lived in socialist countries and escaped from socialist communist countries that may have supported the government, but when they see these things being spoken out loud, they're just going to, whether they like Trump or not, whether they like the party that's currently in power or not, they're going to start standing against it. So yes, Andy, to answer your question, it is painful. It's going to be painful for a lot of us, but we have to keep the faith. It is going to be quite challenging over the next few years. I give it from now, picking up traction between end of the year 2027 to 2029 is going to be really like some rough times for some of us. And this is where we have to start to make our lives comfortable, and sort of, if you know a storm's coming, you prepare for the storm, and you follow people who who actually are open in explaining how, like, for example, economically here in Australia, there's somebody called Scott Curry. Is that his name, Scott Curry? He talks about the economy and what the government's doing and some of their policies. There are people that talk about prepping. These are important things that we need to sort of start to do, not because there's going to be some kind of World War III breakout. It's what's going to be happening is we have to be prepared to weather some of the things that they throw at us, but they're not going to be able to sustain it and last it because they want to stay in power as well. So the more we are aware and awake, the more we stand and voice our voices will be heard. And so ultimately they don't want to lose power. So they're trying to do a lot of things behind the scenes, like they're doing with the sea bills in Canada, and they're passing things in, behind closed doors, but things will be contested and things will be reversed and people will be, supporting the rising parties that are going to actually be speaking against what these agendas are. And so, yeah, okay. Thank you, Andy. Thank you for your donation too, for your question. All right. Oops. Sorry, my system's okay. Silver Spirit. Hello, Silver Spirit. Winter is starting to fade out now from where I am. Oh, okay then. Thought there was a question. Nice to see you here, Silver Spirit. Let me see who else we have here before I start. Hello, Linking Atlas. So there seems to be a lot of the same people asking many, many questions. Yeah, I've kind of got like 2 or 3 people just continually asking questions. So, okay, Carrie. Hi, Laura. Hope all is well. I'm getting really concerned about Pauline Hanson's safety. Will the federal police step up her protection? I just got yes, they will. And will we have an early election? I feel there's going to be a push for an early election, but I feel like the Labor government is going to try to hold back as much as they can. But I feel like they're going to get a little cocky, to be honest, Kerry. They may threaten an early election, and I feel like they're going to get a bit cocky. But I feel like there's a lot of fibbing happening in the media at the moment, with the politicians and some of what they're saying. Some of their policies, what their policy spiels that they're giving, there seems to be a bit of fibbing happening because things aren't what they seem, and a lot of people are cottoning onto it. So, but in terms of Pauline Hanson, because she's raising a lot of this awareness, yes, the federal police will step in. She's going to get many more death threats. Yeah, they're going to actually have to increase her security because I feel somebody's going to try to advance towards her aggressively. Definitely. I don't know with the weapon. I just sort of saw that. I feel she'll be okay, Kerry. And she's strong. She's very stoic. She won't be deterred, and she won't back down. She'll dig her heels in, and she will get the protection she needs because people will demand it as well. And so she will. Okay. You're welcome, Carrie. Okay. There's a question from EB. Will Ben Roberts-Smith be vindicated? I just got, unfortunately, not at this point. EB? Not at this point. I'm really feeling like they want to make an example of him, is what I'm feeling. I feel like he's got to be careful with his health as well. But I feel he's a strong man, he's a stoic man. So, yeah, I do feel that that's an injustice there, and they're trying to use that as an example. And I feel it's coming under this international court where they're trying to sort of hold people accountable. They're sort of taking it upon themselves to be the global arbiters of law and order, and the Trump administration is actually disputing them and trying to dismiss them asserting themselves over sovereign countries. And I feel he's not going to be. Yeah, he is being scapegoated. He is being scapegoated. Okay. The question, Mama Tush, about the wildfires, I actually talked about that earlier. I feel with the wildfires, I might actually do a video slide on it just to sort of show a connection, because I was kind of getting a connection. I actually was getting this a little bit before we came on, because I was reading through the questions. Normally I just read them live, and for some reason I was reading through some of the questions beforehand, and I was getting some really strong impressions about that specific question with the wildfires. And I feel like there is a connection. There is a connection with Bill Gates. There is a connection with the cloud seeding. There's a connection. So I'll actually put together a slide in relation to that. Silver Spirit, will the Australian dollar maintain its value compared to the US dollar? Yeah, I'm seeing that the Australian dollar's actually, it's been strong, but I see it really wavering, and I'm getting the word crumbling. So I feel like, yeah, we've got to be, cautious with our spending. Things are very expensive at the moment, and trying to keep our savings. I really feel like we've got to keep our savings intact. Especially now, I think they're trying to increase our capital gains tax to 15%. That push is trying to happen as well. So, yeah. Okay, let me move through. Sorry, for some reason I'm trying to scroll and it keeps on jumping back up. It's not doing what it should be doing. Linking Atlas. What do I see for Australia, especially for New Zealand from 2026 to 2030? Do I see better than Singapore for new people arriving? Look, I'm going to tell you in terms of, I think what they're doing here in Australia is they're not reporting. They're actually bringing in many more migrants than they're actually announcing that they are. And it's going to continue with the housing crisis and things like that around that. Yeah. So I feel Singapore is definitely the better place to be living, if that's your question, Linking Atlas. Yeah. So if you had to make a choice, I'd be looking at Singapore for yourself. I've sort of mentioned that a few times in previous readings. I feel Singapore is going to be like a little golden nugget that's going to sort of withstand a lot of things. So I feel it's a good place. Okay. Denise. Thank you, Laura. I love listening to your channel. Love from Ontario, Canada. Love to you, Denise. Matt, once again, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, Matt, for always showing up. Okay, there's a lot of questions here from, could I ask that you don't ask multiple questions, because it makes it difficult for me to see some of the other questions that are coming through, and I'm just going to scroll past and end up missing anything that you ask, because I'm just seeing repetitive names showing up. Celtic Sea, will the Chinese hold on Canada be counteracted in the coming years? I just got yes, slowly but surely. It will. I feel China has infiltrated in a lot of areas, and they've done it through a subtle way, through buying of land, buying of infrastructure, their Belt and Road Initiative, and many, many different ways. And so there's a lot of people that actually support their cause, and this is why they're now trying to normalize socialism and communism. And so ultimately, if I have to kind of give a timeline, to be honest, we're talking about something that has kind of been building up over some decades. And it was the agreement that Obama trying to push through the agreement, I think it was the Kyoto Agreement, for climate change, that he was trying to push that through, that he sort of made this arrangement with China, and this is where it sort of started to happen. So I would say it was around the Obama period that China sort of started their Belt and Road and started expanding. So they've sort of had a good 10 years really getting their tentacles in a lot of areas. That's very hard to reverse. And not all, no matter what government, they're not going to reverse all of their policies. It's going to, it's going to affect some countries more than others. In terms of Canada and Australia and New Zealand and the UK, I feel the influence is quite strong. And here in Australia, we don't really have the population. When you kind of look at America, for example, you know, the voting bloc, they're bringing in all these migrants. They become a new voting bloc. And so that makes it a little more challenging. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to have to learn how to block somebody that's just asking continuous questions. I don't know how to do that, unfortunately. So you're quite lucky, but I'm going to learn how to do that, because I don't like somebody spamming with just continuous questions. How in the hell do I do that? Okay. Josh Sanity, is Pauline Hanson working for the cabal or a secret society? Honestly, I don't feel that, Josh, to be honest. I actually feel that she's working for the people. And if you've been in Australia long enough, and she was around, I think, in the 90s, where they basically, everything she's saying now, she's been very Australia first for many, many years, and she even went to jail for it. So no, she's not working for a cabal or a secret society. She's very much working for the Australian people, and that's why her popularity is growing, and that's why people are following One Nation. And I feel she's ready. She's ready. She's actually building her confidence, and she would actually make a fine prime minister, to be honest. But I don't feel her time before 2032. I don't feel her time is there yet for that. Gee, I wish I knew how to block somebody. I'm kind of getting a little bit annoyed with this constant name that's coming up with questions that I don't like. C bills are censorship bills. So this is from Suzanne. If C bills are censorship bills, This was what was raised in the question. So I kind of, the feeling that I got that they were kind of being done behind closed doors, but I do feel some of them are almost illegally passing, even though on paper it seems fine. The feeling that I got is some of them are going to be contested and fiercely contested. Lizzie, excuse me, Lizzie 28, is manufacturing going to come back to Australia? We seem to have sent everything overseas. That's true. Not under the current administration, no. We have all the resources here, enough to be able to sort of, have the oil and make our own. We've got all the minerals and rich resources we need, yet we go overseas for them. And we'll continue to do that while we're with the current Labor Greens government. And I see if Liberals were to win, for example, at the next election, I feel that under the Liberals, that they're actually going to start talking about bringing back productions and start to do almost like an America First, Australia First policy. I feel like they're going to start to want to implement some of the policies and ideas that the Pauline Hanson's putting forward as well, and her One Nation Party. Oh, goodness me. So, Judy, you're asking, will Canada get Carney and the Liberals out of power this year? It won't be this year, but I feel like there are going to be a couple of ministers resigning from that party. I feel like there's going to be perhaps some scandal around them that's going to be coming up. This is from Bob Bloor. I don't know how to pronounce it. I pray President Trump takes Canada. I'm tired of being raided by government thieves. Trump's not going to take Canada per se, but what he's going to do is influence policy moving forward, particularly once there's a change in party. The new government will work very closely with the US, and a lot of things will be changing for the better and will actually be very swift. There'll be changes happening very swiftly once there's a new government in place. I feel I could just see the changes happening very, very quickly. In fact, Pierre and his team are already putting things in place. They're preparing for a win, and they're already getting things in place that they can actually just hit the ground running. What I'm feeling right now is actually Pierre, this is the first time I've felt it in a long time. Pierre has a very good chance of winning, is what I just got. I feel like there's going to be some popularity coming back with Pierre. I feel like they're saying that he's the best person. He's coming forward with some really good ideas. And I feel like he's going to be quite popular. There's something that's going to happen, and he's going to get a spike in the polls, and there's going to be some popularity there and support behind him, and that's going to build traction. So he's going to be in for running for PM for Canada. That's the first time I felt it in a while. So I feel that that's building traction. Can I ask that Coop NZ1 stop posting? I don't know how to stop you, but you're really spamming my page, and I don't appreciate it. It explains why Doug never supported Pierre. Okay. Oops. Okay, just winding this down. Okay, so Lynn Rogerson, I've actually, your question about feels like Canada's going down the communist direction. If you listen back to the Q&A on this video, I actually do address that. There will be a shift happening. Yes, it is moving down that path. They are trying to move behind the scenes to get some things happening, and it will be under the climate change agenda that they're going to try to make things happen. So some years ago it was COVID. It's going to be around climate. It's going to be around El Nino. It's going to be around those things that they're going to try to implement policies, but they're not going to be successful. Things will be stopped in their tracks and things will be contested. Andy. Hi, Laura, Andy and Margaret here from Ontario, Canada. Love your shows. Love you too, guys. Thank you for always watching and supporting. Giselle, good morning from Ontario, Canada. Fabian Buller, good morning from Canada. Jojo from Calgary. Joanna, hello, Joanna. Good morning from, good morning, everyone. Okay. So Josh Sanity, good day from Lismore. I'm looking for final questions. So I'm going to scroll down. I don't know why. I don't know why my computer's freezing. I don't know if that's a sign. How do I bring this down? It seems like my chat window is not working. It's not scrolling. Okay, this might be a sign, guys, because I can't get to the, oh, here we go. It's slowly moving. It's not, yeah, it's not letting me sort of scroll. Don't know why. All right, I'm stuck, guys. I can't, oh, here we go. It's just done a big leap. It could be just the amount of questions that are coming through. I think I need a new computer. My computer doesn't respond well. Celtic Seer, hello Celtic Seer. Will any of these side wars come to an end at the end of this year? No, these side wars that, if you're referring to the Ukraine and Russia and the US and Iran, I feel like there's going to be some kind of flare up. And I feel like there's going to be there's going to be something else, an outbreak, a third one that's going to break out. But I feel like it's going to be more short-lived. I think I've mentioned this before. There's going to be some tensions in a couple of places, but there's going to be one that's going to be quite noticeable, and that will be squashed. I feel like there's going to be something around Africa and something around the Balkans that's going to happen. It's almost going to be like little spot fires, but they will be squashed. They won't go on like that. I'm not even okay to try to, I don't know. I'm not able to scroll, guys. I'm very sorry. Oh, here we go. Marie Roshan from Eastern Ontario. Oh, hello, Dilam. Have a great day. Love your show from Ontario. Tropic Explorer. Oh, okay, try holding the person and blocking them. For some reason, yeah, it's my computer's not responding. Okay, it's EDK Cocaine. Question, will oil prices go up with geopolitical problems? I do feel there's going to be a spike in oil prices, EDK. There will be a spike, but I feel like the Trump administration is going to actually take hold of that. And so I did predict that there's going to be boots on the ground in Iran. And Trump's alluded to actually the Strait of Hormuz is going to eventually be owned by the US. I wouldn't be surprised if that's going down that track. And be mindful of the news that you're listening to in terms of how it's being reported, because it's not as bad as it's being reported, to be honest. But I do feel that there will be a spike in some of the prices and a rise in the prices. But yeah, I'm getting in a condensed period. Unfortunately, guys, well, 107 viewers. Hello, everyone. I don't know why I'm actually having trouble scrolling. I don't know how to make this move. It's kind of stuck. I don't know what to do, guys. So I really do have to look at. Let me just try opening this. Would that? Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm able to move again. Yay! Oh no, I'm stuck again. What the? Okay, do you think that's a sign? All right. It could be because I'm just getting a lot of questions and my computer's not responding well to it for some reason. Okay, thank you, Tropical Explorer. I think they've kind of stopped. They must have got the hint. They've stopped. Thank you for the feedback, guys. Tropical Explorer question: will Gina Reinhardt end giving the land near Townsville to Israel's war, bio, and drone development? My first response is yes. I've not heard about that, Tropical Explorer. Is she getting backlash about that? Because I just got that there's going to be a halt on it. There will be a halt on it. But I feel like there might be something that she may still go ahead, but there's just a current halt on it for some reason. Right. I might look into that. I'd not heard about that, Tropical Explorer. Thanks for that question. Peggy. Hello, Peggy. Will Mark Carney's corruption be exposed for all to see? It's already begun, Peggy. People are already beginning to see it. And more so. Julie Maines. Hi, Laura. Will any of the Labor be held accountable for corruption? Honestly, some of the smaller players will, not the bigger players like, what was the former Andrews? Dan Andrews, he won't be. And yeah, they'll be exposed, but I feel like it's going to kind of be lost in translation. It may be some kind of, yes, we'll open up an inquiry, but I feel like it's going to be a road to nowhere. But I feel like some of the smaller players may be a bit of a scapegoat for some of these things. Oh, like, share, and subscribe, everyone. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, linking. Thank you, Fabian. I feel the love, guys. So did you ask this question already? Did I answer this question already? Silver Spirit, about the Australian dollar maintaining its value compared to the US. Just as I'm reading this, Silver Spirit, I'm actually seeing the Australian dollar is actually going to go down to about 60, in the 60s, 68. So I feel like there's going to be a drop in the Australian dollar. Yeah. I'm just getting to tighten your money belts and sort of like cautious with the spending and try saving. I'm getting like saving your money if possible. Okay, final question, guys. I'm just going to able to go through. Okay, I think I've read everything. All right, just before I go, oh, really? Thank you, Peggy. Appreciate that. Celtic says the servers and solar flares are affecting the internet. Possibly. Carrie Ann told me to clock off. So, Prairie Mornings. Hello, Prairie Mornings from Alberta. Rural towns are being flooded with migrants. Will this be stopped before it's too late? What's interesting is Prairie Mornings, somebody recently got cranky with me and said that my prediction about the migrant crisis in Canada has ended. You've already sort of closed the borders. And so it's interesting that you're kind of bringing that up. And so maybe this is not being reported accurately, and the person may not be either a bit of a troll or may not be aware. So thank you for sharing that. Will it be stopped before it's too late in Alberta? I feel like they're going to move on from Alberta because I'm getting that they're sort of settling around the outskirts. I don't know more. So you said rural, is that right? So yeah, I do see them settling into some of these outskirts, but I kind of feel they're not going to like some of the weather there, and I feel like they might move on. But in terms of the migrant flow, I feel like we're going to be experiencing it and battling it for a little while before some new governments come in, to be honest, Prairie Mornings. This is Marie joining in from Ontario. Okay, God bless you all. This is Liz Thomas. What will happen with interest rates in the near future? Will they come down to a more reasonable level in Australia? I feel like they're trying to hold off with the rise, an interest rate rise, but I feel like there may potentially be another rise, and it may possibly be before the end of the year, to be honest. A slight rise, though, not a big hike, but I feel there may actually be. There are some great questions here today. Yes, there are, Prairie Mornings. Okay, Shauna is happy. This is the last question, guys. Okay, I'll give two more questions. Shauna is happy. There has been so many predictions about King's death or change in power in the UK in royal realms. Will this affect Canada in 2026 and 27? After all, our Prime Minister works for them, right? Okay, I'll tell you what my prediction when I actually did the UK, I'm getting something around the age of 82 for Charles in terms of something serious happening for him. So I think he's in his late 70s at the moment. So I feel like in the next 3 years, I do see William stepping up before Charles passes, not after Charles passes, almost like a regency of some sort. But I'm seeing the age 82 being significant for that. There'll still be a royal family. I feel things will change when a King William comes into place, but that will also be changing in different ways because there will be different governments around the world that have shifted from where the direction is currently heading. I feel the next 5 years, particularly up until 2032, there's going to be some major things happening and major changes happening as well. The breakdown of their hold of the globalist hold, the authoritarian hold, the communist infiltration is still, they're working hard at it. It is breaking down. And I might actually put out a poll to see if you kind of would like to do sort of like a collective prayer, a collective meditation. Because I do believe that we have to have faith in humanity, and I really do believe that the things that have happened against President Trump, and the fact that he's still here with us, with all the assassination attempts, with all the character assassination attempts, there is a purpose. There is a divine purpose. I've thought this for a long time, and I think a lot of us have been sort of scared to say it. But I feel it's really important that we're no longer fearful of expressing. And so I feel collectively we have to sort of really have faith in humanity. And having faith is not denominational. It's really just believing in humanity and a higher purpose, and really being cautious of what we feed ourselves with the nonsense that's out there, and what we're allowing and exposing our families to as well. So in saying that, guys, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming along and supporting. So I will wind it down now, and what I might do is I might actually hold another live in about a week's time, but I'll open up a Q&A. So over the next couple of days, so maybe say in the next 1 to 2 weeks, we'll hold another live, and perhaps you could tell me whether you like it focused just on 1 or 2 countries at a time, or you like it more generally. So maybe I'll put that out in a poll over the next day or so. Okay then, guys, thank you very much. Good night. Thanks for watching, for listening, and for your support. Good night, and God bless everyone. Love to you all.